What's up, YouTubers and fellow builders? So I got a sort of a short video today that I thought, hey, why not do this and test it and see what happens, because I haven't done this particular test on this channel before, and I thought you guys would be interested as I am. So what I have here is a piece of 1/4-inch plate with mill scale on it, and one side is clean. And what we're going to do is run a couple test beads on it and then cut it in half and etch it and see if the mill scale side has more penetration. So let's get into it. All right, now that I got the current bush running and the welder fired up, got the plate in front of us. What I'm going to do is make 3 passes on the back side of this with the mill scale and then 3 passes on the clean side. And we'll cut and etch it. Now, I'm going to use all the same settings for this, which I'm at 300 inches per minute and 21.5 for voltage. That seems to be, and I did like 5 test welds, seemed to be an okay point to use for just doing beads on plate. Probably not the settings I would want to use if I actually had to weld something together, but I think it's plenty hot enough and it'll give us a good baseline to see if welding through mill scale does affect the penetration. You can hedge your bets right now if it will or won't. I'm going to take a guess and say that there'll be noticeable decrease in penetration, but who knows? We won't know until we test it. So let me start welding. I'll hit the mill scale side first. All right, so now we're gonna do the clean. I rebuffed this just because it was starting to oxide from the heat on the other side, but it's looking pretty good. It's all perfectly clean. I put some marks on it so I weld on the area where there isn't a weld directly opposite, because that could skew the results a little bit. And this isn't a perfectly scientific test, so it is what it is. Let's weld. Well, let's talk about what we got so far. These are the 3 welds that I did on the mill scale side, obviously. Now, when I was welding these, I noticed 2 things. One, and I'm not really sure why, when I hit 3/4 of the way down the plate, the weld pool just didn't seem to, I don't know, it was like lying to me. Like it looked like the weld was wider than it was. And you look at that, all of them are neck down the same. I don't really know why, because to me, it looked like everything was kind of going okay. Maybe the plate was getting hot enough at that point that, you know, the mill scale was starting to mix, and I don't know, like the weld pool was very difficult to determine what was going on. I noticed that the weld appearance on this side is pretty dull gray, and it appears to have more scale on the top of the weld than on the other side, but you know, not great looking welds, not the worst. Now on this side, you can see I didn't do anything different, and the weld pool, I mean, when I was welding, it stayed consistent in like width and height and everything. So I just pushed the puddle and everything was fine. Like the visibility, everything seemed way worse on the other side. It also produced far more smoke in my shop here welding over the mill scale. I think it was vaporizing it. Now this down here, I'm not sure what happened, and maybe the ARC footage will show it. I really didn't set up the ARC footage to get the best shots, because this really isn't a how to weld video. It's more like let's screw around and see what happens. But it's possible maybe there was water contamination on the plate that I welded over, or maybe my nozzle somehow rubbed that. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I didn't see it as I was welding, but obviously I screwed up. These beads look far better, no question about it, than these. The question is that we need to answer is, do they have more penetration? And since I'll be cutting them in the middle where all the welds are really the best, we'll definitely find out. So let me go cut this in half and let's see. Well, the moment of truth. Let's look into this. So I guess I was wrong. The difference in penetration on mill scale versus clean is not significantly different, and I certainly can't tell a difference. If you can, let me know, but You know, keep in mind this plate's somewhat tipped up, so it makes the bottom look a little bit like it has more penetration, but the truth is they're identical. And if I didn't label this picture, honestly, I couldn't tell you the difference, so I was wrong. Interesting. Now the exterior bead appearances obviously are different, and I don't like the way the mill scale one looks. All interesting stuff. Let's move on. So the results are pretty interesting. I guess not quite what I expected. I thought there'd be a bigger difference. Now keep in mind these settings are run hot enough to where we got decent penetration on this. Had you been running a little bit colder on something like a fillet weld, I almost guarantee you that it would just sit on there. And that's something I'll test in the next video dealing with this, where I'll do a fillet weld on mill scale and one that's clean and compare the two, because I'm almost guarantee you that the penetration will be very poor on that. But that's, I guess, again, a little bit different than running fairly decent settings on a flat position. So yeah, there you have it. Were you right? Were you wrong? Let me know in the comments. I was wrong, apparently. I would have thought there'd be more of a difference, but hey, it goes without saying, guys and girls, always clean your material. Don't go welding on this crap. Trust me on that. In the long run, it'll bite you in your ass. Until next time.